All right, welcome to Sport Talk on Enterprise TV 7, where sport news from the four corners of the world are delivered at its best. If you are joining us for the first time, please do well to follow us across all of our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. My name is John Olasikomi. Join me and let's ride together. Today, joining me virtually is very important personality, always constant on the show, talking about Daniel Osimhen. We'll be talking more on what is happening to Victor James Osimhen and, of course, the MPFL, the Premier League, La Liga, and Italian Serie A. Good afternoon to you, Daniel Osimhen, and welcome to Sport Talk.
Yeah, good afternoon, John. Good afternoon to the viewers as well. Good to be on the show, as always, talking what we love to do.
All right, welcome once again, Daniel Osimhen. But you know how we do it, charity begins at home. We always start from the home front. We'll be starting with the Super Eagles striker, talking about Victor James Osimhen, has been linked with Manchester United in recent weeks, but he is not on their radar. Previously described as world-class by one of the greatest coaches of all time, talking about Jose Mourinho. The 26-year-old is set to leave Napoli permanently this summer. He would reportedly be available for £56 million. Osimhen was touted as manager Ruben Amorim's priority target for the striker position, and United was seemingly eyeing a £40 million court price deal for him. Daniel, talking about Victor James Osimhen, we've been hearing a lot of rumor concerning Osimhen to Manchester United, and of course, just yesterday, the man called Ornstein came out and said Osimhen is not on United's radar, that their primary striker right now is the man called Liam Delap, playing for Ipswich Town. So what are your thoughts on this one? Because a lot of United fans, especially from Nigeria, they've been happy because of Victor James Osimhen. They believe that Osimhen will definitely give them what they really need. You know, we've seen Zexi and, of course, Rasmus Højlund. I don't think all of those 5 goals this season so far. So, between Osimhen and, of course, Delap, who do you think is best for Manchester United?
Well, I think this is a no-brainer. Victor Osimhen has proven his worth in Europe. For someone like me who is very critical about Osimhen, seeing his exploits, like I said in the 2022-2023 season,
okay,
when they led Napoli to the championship, with we talk about Sugeru. I said it at that point in time, Victor Osimhen was the one-season wonder, because he had never scored 20 goals in anything in Europe before. Or less than anywhere ever. So having to have that massive breakdown season, scoring tons of goals, I didn't get carried away. I just felt it was still for one-season wonder, right? The following season, injury didn't doing so well, so he couldn't replicate. But his goals to game ratio was still very fantastic. But having to now go to a different country in Turkey, we know the football there is not as difficult as we've seen strikers like Perfectly Gomez go to Turkey and score tons of goals. And not disrespect to Gomez, brilliant striker for Olympic Lyon, in France back in the day, right? And came to the Premier League, did pretty well for playing for a very poor side in Swansea at the point in time.
Yes, of course.
Having to go to Turkey, his goal records, where he went high. So scoring lots of goals in Turkey for a quote unquote a good striker don't be something difficult, but we have to give him the difference. He came in to be second fiddle to Mario Icardi. Icardi got injured early on in the season and filled that boot perfectly. Started doing wonderful work. The top scorer in Turkey. Imagine having won the top golden boot in Italy. Most likely going to win the golden boot in Turkey. You see me as a poster. I think it's going to be on the books of so many scouts or major teams, and I think it's a no-brainer. Yankee Villa is nowhere close to the top at this point.
All right, and of course, talking about history, I know we've seen some African players have played at United, and no disrespect to the likes of Quintin Fortune, Eric Jemba, and Manucho, they didn't live up to expectation. One of the main reasons why they really advised Mikel Obi back then, before he made that move to Chelsea, aside the money aspect, we all know that money is very important to all these great players. But we've seen African players shone at Chelsea. Mention them right from Celestine Babayaro, DJ Drogba, Solomon Kalou, Michael Essien, our own John Mikel Obi. Mention them, and that is the main reason why a lot of people are clamoring for Victor James Osimhen, that they would love Osimhen to move to Chelsea rather than to go to Manchester United. Do you agree that Osimhen will definitely flop at United, but if he goes to Chelsea, he will definitely be one of those, one of the world-class footballer? Do you agree? Hello, I can hear you. Okay, go ahead.
All right, this is not the best of times for any player to join Chelsea because we know Chelsea are rebuilding that team. All right, they are patiently doing it.
Hey, United are also building. It's one of the same thing.
So you see for United, I know they're in a very bad state, but I wasn't saying this because in comparison with United are in a very, very bad state. Currently in the bottom 6 of the league, if I'm not mistaken, or they're in a good place in the Europa League. If they win the Europa League, they can qualify and play in Champions League next year. For Chelsea, the Champions League place is looking very unlikely. Man City are back at, their mojo, and Newcastle United are on top form. Nottingham Forest, also being in the top 4 for the majority of the season, we want to follow the grid. At least you want to secure 5th position to qualify for the Champions League. What does that tell you? That means Chelsea will finish outside the top 5 and not play the Champions League.
Okay.
Right. What does that also tell you? That Aston Villa is also on top, hot on their heels. All right. They are all just above Aston Villa with goals difference. Okay. And that makes it very dicey for Chelsea. If they win the Conference League, which they look like they are favorites to win, all that will get them is to qualify for the Europa League of the 6th place position in the Premier League to guarantee them as well. All right, it's not like 1 plus 1 that will give you 2. It's 1 plus 1 that will give you 1. You win the Conference League, you finish the 6th position, or you get to the Europa League. And this was the major reason why Victor Osimhen didn't join Chelsea in the first place.
Yes, of course.
Last summer, he was offered a ridiculous, I call it an insulting offer, where Victor Osimhen was offered around £80,000 per week from someone who was coming off being the highest paid player in the Serie A, earning over 200,000 euros per week. To offer that ridiculously low amount. It was not, it was promised that if Chelsea now secure Champions League football this season, his wages will now become to around £160,000, which is still, a far cry compared to what he earns in Napoli. And God so good for him, Galatasaray were willing to pay that amount that he earns in Italy. So my point is, with Champions League football not guaranteed, Manchester United look like they have the Champions League in their pockets if they can win the Europa League next season.
They have to come through the back door. That's crazy.
Yes, and and that's something that. And the way Chelsea are going towards the second half of the season, it looks like United even winning the Europa League seems more assuring than Chelsea finishing in the top 5.
Yes, of course.
So for the sake of that, United may be a good option because once it signs for United, Hoyland has struggled this season. Zexi hasn't been given so many opportunities, but he doesn't have that kind of profile. Both Zexi and Hoyland don't have the profile of Victor Osimhen.
Yes,
Victor Osimhen, Zexi, and Hoyland all played in the Serie A, and who won that battle for the Golden Boot? It was Victor Osimhen.
It was Osimhen.
All right. Even Hoyland wasn't a quote unquote the first choice striker for Napoli at the point in time, for Atalanta at the point in time. So he came to United. That United came on the platter of gold. Why not, if Osimhen joins, it becomes the first choice striker on the basis of what he has done and not because he's a prospect anymore. Hoyland and Zexi are prospects. Osimhen is result oriented. He has proven his worth and he will just walk into that Well, with Chelsea, obviously, it becomes very strategic because, I mean, Nicolas Jackson is a very wasteful striker, right? I was still tipping to go to Manchester United instead of Chelsea.
Okay, all right. We've seen a lot of outlets, most especially from Turkey, from Italy, and of course here in Nigeria. Victor James Osimhen has been linked to Manchester United until David Ornstein came out yesterday and he said Osimhen is not on Man United agenda. But you know what? Only time will tell. Even said, if United didn't get, what is his name? Liam Delap, they will still not go for Victor James Osimhen. But let's see how it goes. All right, away from Victor James Osimhen, let's move straight to the MPFL. Aqua United head coach Kennedy Boboye is optimistic his side will escape relegation at the end of the season. The Promise Keepers occupy 18th position on the league table with 38 points from 34 matches. Aqua United have registered 10 wins, 8 draws, and 16 defeats in this campaign. David Osege. Daniel Osege. Let's talk about MPFL. And now this is Aqua United. Ever since they won the league in 2021, they've been struggling in the MPFL. And now Kennedy Boboye has assured all Aqua United fans that no matter what, they won't play in the NNL next season. Do you agree with Kennedy Boboye?
I think Kennedy Boboye is either being delusional or just wants to instill enough confidence in him so as to ensure that he doesn't get sacked and hence his salary to the end of the season. Because as far as I'm concerned, Aqua United are outside from the APFL already. So it's really opportunity for APFL teams, really. In the Premier League, the survival mark is 88 points. Aqua United already have the 8 points with 24 games or thereabouts to go, and they are not safe. And they look like they are down and out. All right. Also, as against in the Premier League and many leagues in Europe, where 3 teams get relegated, some leagues won't have 2 teams get relegated, and maybe a third place team from bottom goes into a relegation playoff, with a team that's supposed to gain promotion. But with the NPFL, we have 4 teams.
4 teams.
Getting relegated. So at this point in time, they have 3 places to play, and I don't think they have enough points to do it.
All right, still talking about MPFL 2024-2025 season. If Kano Pillars get to beat Rivers United this evening and Remo Stars get a win against Niger Tornadoes, they will be crowned the MPFL champions 2024-2025 season. And there is one thing that is very common in the MPFL, Ozege. Why is it that once a team win the league this season, the following season, next 2 seasons, that team will just fall off? What do you think is the problem? Do they sell their stars or what?
So I think first of all it's about management.
Okay.
Unfortunately for Remo Stars, they have a very impressive management. It's a private owned club, right? With purpose, right? This is the team that would say sell players to foreign leagues from their leader team and not from their main team, right? Their main team have stuck together, but so they have a plan, right? And they have the resources, they have the facilities, they have what it takes. On their books, they have players who have traveled abroad and played abroad, come back home and play for them. Case in study, Sekou, right? This is a well-traveled player, at least across the continent. Okay, Sekou found a home in Remo, and has been there with them for 2 years now and counting. Okay, so I think it's always been a case of management. When the government has teams do the needful and get the league title delivered, sometimes the following season, maybe, just maybe, the management don't invest as much as they used to. And that's very ironic because when they win titles like this, the governors and the state government as a whole tend to splash them with cash, right? After the whole celebration and jubilation, some players get to leave because how it works with the government-based teams. Salaries are not guaranteed.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so that's ensures that they lose 1 or 2 players, and then going forward, because they splash so much cash in jubilation of winning the league, that affects the project for the incoming season. And when it affects the project of the incoming season, these players sometimes are less motivated when they play on empty stomachs or when they are being owed salaries. All right.
You can imagine being owed for 4, 5, 6 months.
You know, for Remo Stars, we know that the pay as when due. Obviously, they're not one of the biggest paying teams, because as against the government teams where they can sign you to a contract to pay 1 million per month. They're not in there for profit. But with Remo Stars, they can't afford to do that because, you know, in as much as they are running at a loss, they want to cut their losses. So they want to ensure it's as minimal as possible. So the pay as when due the amount that they can afford, right? So once your salary is being guaranteed, you have an opportunity of playing on the continent. Some of these players, like I said, are already well traveled to play outside of Nigeria. All right, so they'll come in, contribute their quota with experience. Their last 2 sojourns on the continent has been terrible. You know, it's as though we don't even want to see them represent us anymore. But opportunity for them and probably opportunity for Nigerians, we don't know. They're still going to be representing us this year. We don't just expect that this time around they should be wiser and you know, do much better.
All right, my own major concern is this: how can you have that such pitch talking about Godswill Aquaview Stadium and playing the NLA? It's crazy. All right, let's take a look at other fixtures. Kano Pillars versus Rivers United. Remo Stars we host Niger Tornadoes. Nasarawa United versus Atlanta. Aqua United versus Inform Ikorodu City. Aquara United versus Lobby Stars. Sunshine Stars versus Katsina United. Abia, we host Shooting Stars. Plateau United versus Bendel Insurance. Bayelsa United versus Ekanemi Warriors. Enugu Rangers, we host the biggest team in the NPFL, talking about Eyimba Football Club of Aba. Away from local football, let's move straight to foreign football. Arsenal, the Premier League title hopes, took a significant blow on Wednesday after Mikel Arteta's side were held to a 2-2 draw by Crystal Palace at the Emirates Stadium, leaving Liverpool just 1 point away from clinching the title. The result leaves Arsenal on 67 points from 34 games, while Liverpool, with 79 points from 33 games, remain at the top of the table and need just 1 more point from their remaining fixtures to secure the Premier League title. Manchester City, also on 34 games, is third with 61 points. For me, I believe it's been done and dusted for the past few weeks. All Liverpool just do right now is just to avoid a defeat against Tottenham Hotspur.
Liverpool won this league as far back as last year, from probably November, December, because they were very consistent from the beginning, and they are still very consistent. Right? So we've seen them grind out results in recent weeks. Last weekend it was at Leicester, a team who knew that they were relegated, but they just wanted to go down with a fight, right? Especially in front of their home crowd. And Diogo Jota was it who scored the winning goal very late in the game. All right, and I mean, this is a team that for a very long period in the season were unstoppable. They were winning back to back, only Nottingham Forest were able to stop them early in the season. All right, and Mohamed Salah was scoring goals week in, week out, providing us assist as well. It's obviously, despite his deep in form, it's obviously going to be the PFA Player of the Year, win the Golden Boots, win the Playmaker of the season award and all of that. So you can't have such a phenomenal player in your ranks, and the support cast might have not been very great, but their midfield has been impressive. That midfield three of Gravenberg, McAllister, and Sokozalai, very consistently playing alongside one another. It reminds me of Chelsea's Conte team and Mourinho's team in the early 2000s. That same person level every single week with that proper understanding always gives you results. Like they say, if it's ain't broken, you don't fix it. All right, so I think now, just as always, they don't give up until it becomes more than glaring to them. And now the battle is lost, as they've been saying for the past 21 years. We go again next season. Liverpool, congratulations. I expect them to win the title at Anfield. I mean, Tottenham Hotspur have been very, very shambolic this season. I wonder why their gaffer still has the job ready. And
Postecoglou.
16th position. There is 6 points up at this point in the season. That's ridiculous for Tottenham side. Team who might have not won a lot of titles, especially in recent years, but I mean, a team with so much history. Top players are we name them, from the likes of Harry Kane very recently to David Ginola. You name it, the list is endless. I think it's a shame on Tottenham for the kind of shame. All well and good, they are in the Europa League also fighting for a title eventually. That's the only thing that can rescue what has been a disastrous for them in the semi-finals. And if they go ahead to win it, who cares about the kind of season they've had in the league? Because they'll be champions in Europe and also be playing the UEFA Champions League.
And at the end, they will have something to show forward for. All right, let's take a look at other fixtures. Chelsea will host Inform Everton. Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Chelsea versus Everton, Newcastle versus Ipswich Town, Brighton and Wolves versus West Ham, Southampton will host Fulham, Bournemouth versus Manchester United, Liverpool versus Tottenham Hotspur. Away from the Premier League, let's move straight to Spain. Real Madrid claimed a third consecutive La Liga away victory with a hard-fought 1-0 win over Getafe, keeping their title charge alive and closing the gap on league leaders Barcelona to 4 points. With an eye on Saturday's Copa del Rey final showdown with Barca in mind, Carlo Ancelotti made 6 changes to the lineup, which defeated Athletic Club 1-0 days ago for this short trip to the southern outskirts of the Spanish capital. All right, Daniel Osege, in just 1 minute, let's talk about Copa del Rey final between Barcelona and, of course, Real Madrid. This season, they've played 2 times. Barcelona won those 2 games, 5-2, and, of course, 4 goals to nothing. And now this is Copa del Rey final, El Clasico, Barcelona against, Real Madrid. It's so sad that Camavinga will be out or is out of the season already, so they have to settle down with the likes of Ceballos and co. So what are your thoughts on this one? Do you think Barcelona will still win the 3rd game this season against Real Madrid?
It's hard to bet against Barcelona this season. They've been very, very fantastic, especially since the turn of the new year. 2025 has been awesome for them. They only lost their first game of the season midweek last week. When they lost what you want to say a get rubber tie against Borussia Dortmund
in the Champions
last time out. So so you can pardon them really. They had already done the job on the first leg. The second leg looked like a formality, if not for the brilliance of Sergio Guerrero, who now look like they could have a tie on their hand again. All right, so you can't look beyond a Barcelona victory, honestly. However, these are 2 giants locking horns, and it can be a very, very difficult one to call. And I think at this point in time, I'll sit on the fence, but shooting slightly towards Barcelona.
All right, so give me your correct score. Barcelona versus Real Madrid. Who is winning? Your correct score?
Yes, 3-1.
3-1 in favor of Barcelona? All right, let's see how it goes. All right, no chance. Don't also forget that Lewandowski is also injured. But let's see how it goes. It is El Clasico, and of course, it's Copa del Rey final. Let's move straight to Italy. Juventus considered their place in Serie A's Champions League position on Wednesday after falling to a 1-0 defeat at Parma. 1 of 4 matches rescheduled from Monday following the death of Pope Francis. Matteo Pellegrino's thumping header on the stroke of halftime was enough for Parma to earn a precious win in the fight for top-flight survival and damage Juve's Champions League hopes. Do you think Juventus can still make it to the Champions League next season? Although I call them Almighty Juventus. But it's like the Almighty in front of their name is doing it somehow. But you are chasing a top 4. And of course, you lost to a team like Parma. And still have a lot of, big guns to play. You still have like 5 games to be played. And of course, this weekend they'll be playing at home against Monza. But let's see how it goes. Do you see Juventus making it to the Champions League next season, Daniel?
It's difficult. You know, the Serie A over the years, past recent seasons, are proven to be the toughest league in mainstream Europe. You know, that's a tag that the Premier League had for so long. But in all honesty, it's now the Serie A because take a look at it. 2020, Juventus won the league. 2021, Inter Milan won the league. 2022, AC Milan won the league. 2023, Napoli won the league. Before Inter Milan now reclaimed their title in 2024. What does that tell you? For
different winners in the last 5 seasons.
4 different winners. All right, and you know, look at how tight it is up there for European places. Remember, I gave a stat last week on this program where
yes, of course,
only one of the top 12 teams won in Serie A. That goes to show how difficult it is because we had I think 2 matchups between teams in the top 12 where they had to settle for a draw. They couldn't be separated. Some of the lower place teams also got interesting results against the top place side. So I think it's going to be a very difficult one. Juventus really messed up. Picking up a point from that game would be fair enough than losing all 3 points. At this point in time, I know and they know as well that they have to win every game to the end of the season to qualify for the Champions League. Dropping any more points and they're out of that race for me. What better way to start than playing at home, you know, in Turin against Monza. Monza have been whooping boys this season, and I don't see them, stopping that this coming weekend.
All right, let's take a look at other fixtures. Atalanta versus Lecce, Como versus Genoa, Venezia versus AC Milan, and of course Inter Milan at home against Roma. This is going to be a tough game for Inter Milan, although they are tied with Napoli with 71 points on the log table. Juve versus Monza, Napoli versus Torino, Udinese versus Bologna. I know Juventus fans will be praying for Udinese, of course, to beat Bologna so that they can move past Bologna on the log table. All right, our time is fast spent. I just have to leave the studio. That's how much I can take on Sport Tour on Enterprise TV 7. Daniel Ozege has been awesome on the show this wonderful afternoon. Daniel Ozege.
Many thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
All right, endeavor to subscribe and click the notification bell to get notified of all alerts. Follow us across all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. Like, share, and engage on all our content. Visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com for all the news you can use, the inclusives, and the live updates. My name remains John Olasukomi. See you next time.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.